Hello and welcome to Sarat Chandra IAS Academy, where your dreams are our mission. This is Yatharth here. So first of all, congratulations to all of us for a successful Chandrayaan 3 landing on the south pole of the moon. So let's see what happened to Luna 25 and what's next for India. What are the next missions? So this is our happy Prime Minister. This is a sad Prime Minister. We'll see what's the difference, what happened. So this was Luna 25. So photo released by the Roscosmos. This is the Russian Space Agency. State Space Corporation. The Soyuz 2.1B rocket with the moon lander Luna 25 automatic station was set to launch pad at Vostochny Cosmodrome in the Russian Far East. Alright. So this mission has abruptly ended after the lander failed to land properly. So let's see why it is so hard to land on the south pole of the moon. What is south pole of the moon? What is to be discovered on the south pole of the moon? And what are the conditions that make south pole of the moon so interesting to land and so significant? This is our Chandrayaan 3 India. So India has made history as its moon mission became the first to land in the lunar south pole region. So this is the achievement. First country to land on the south pole with its lunar mission. So India joins an elite club of countries to achieve a soft landing on the moon after the US, the former Soviet Union and China. There is a significant difference between the USSR and Russia now. Alright, USSR dissolved. Russia is now the country that is remnant of USSR. How it's trying its best to expand, especially with the Ukraine war. Alright. So that time when USSR was formed, there was a Cold War going on, if you know about it. And during Cold War, there was a significant competition between the West, especially USA, and the East, especially USSR, so as to reach the moon first. So USSR had different goals and different risk factors. However, Russia has not been able to replicate the same. So let's see, India joined an elite club, the former US China. The Vikram lander from Chandrayaan 3 was successfully touched down as planned. Okay, now let's see forward. So how the Chandrayaan 3 journey, in very small step, we'll see the journey. So it took off from the Sriharikota, India, Andhra Pradesh. Rocket detached from 2 stages. Chandrayaan 3 orbits the Earth in phases until it enters the moon's orbit. So see, this is the most energy efficient way for it to reach such a distance or height. Alright, why is this so? Why cannot we just, how do we imagine, usually that this is the moon, let's say. So how do we imagine that a rocket flies from here and goes to here? But it will take so much of energy and a different acceleration deceleration pathway. Okay, this is better for energy saving because of the, why does it work like this? That a spacecraft have to become a satellite first and then only land slowly. So how does this work? Let's say this is a satellite of the Earth. The moon is itself a satellite of the Earth, revolving the Earth. So there are 2 forces working on it, the gravitational force of the Earth and the centrifugal force. So as and when these forces are completely balanced, a spacecraft does not need any new energy to keep rotating. It will become a satellite. It only requires energy to shift into a new orbit. Alright, so a small amount of energy is needed to cover the distance. Otherwise, it can keep rotating naturally. Okay, so this is the important thing here, that what forces act on a satellite. So lower part, gravity, which pulls the satellite towards the main body, and centrifugal force. This pulls the body away from the main body or attracting body. So this is the satellite here. Alright, moving further. So while Luna failed, okay, this is also important for us to see. So even though a successful landing has been achieved more than 20 times, including 6 times with human being on board. So humans have already reached the moon, I hope you know that, 6 times. The technology clearly has not been mastered yet. Amazingly, except the 3 Chinese landings in the past 10 years, all the successful landings in the moon happened within a decade between 1966 and 1976. This was the era of Cold War. So why was the country so successful in era of Cold War? Because so many missions were sent. There was a huge competition. So the number of missions was a lot. Many crashed also. I hope you know the Apollo tragedy also. So many were crashed and number of missions were sent. Out of them, some were successful. Okay, and these some which were successful are revered till now. In the last 4 years, government and private space agencies from 4 countries. So must remember these 4 countries also. Just a second. So India, Israel, Japan, and now Russia have tried to land their spacecraft on the moon and failed. So Chandrayaan 2 also was failed. Chandrayaan 2 also got failed. So each of these missions encountered problems in the very last stage during the landing process and crashed on the moon's surface. Roscosmos said that the change in momentum that the spacecraft had experienced while moving in the pre-landing orbit was different from what it should have been. So this was the error basically because of which the Luna 25 crashed. So in the case of the other 3, ISRO's Chandrayaan 2, which also got failed in 2019, September 2019. So Bereshit from Israel and Hakuto R from Japan. So these are important. Bereshit from Israel and Hakuto R from Japan. They also crashed. So various different type of malfunctions resulted in desired levels of speed not being achieved. So Chandrayaan 2, after Chandrayaan 2, India developed Chandrayaan 3. Alright, and it has made a successful landing. So this is not a matter of luck, but only a matter of rectification of any errors that were left the last time. So this can be a motivation for you for the next year also. There's ample time left. Okay, so China has been the sole exception is this, having landed on its very first attempt in 2013. So see what we have achieved in 2023, and that is also very good. Other countries have not been able to replicate even this. China achieved in 2013 with Chang'e E3. It has repeated the feat with the Chang'e E4 in 2019 and Chang'e E5, a sample return mission in 2020. Luna 25 was just the resumption of Russian interest in the moon. It was named to signify the continuation of the lunar series, which was the Soviet Union used to reach the moon 50 years ago. So see, this is also socio or let's say political development in the international relations, that Russia is having a very much interest in reviving the USSR. Not only the boundary gains it is trying to make, but the legacy of USSR lunar missions or lunar missions. So it is trying to resume that also. Alright, so this can be used as a matter of fact in the mains answer writing in the GS3, that Russia is trying to revive the USSR's legacy and trying to establish dominance in the whole North Asian region. Alright, so Luna 24 launched in 1976 and now Luna 25 launched in 2023. Okay, so there's a difference of many years. It was the last spacecraft to land on the moon's surface before lunar missions came to an abrupt halt and remained suspended for almost 2 decades. So there was also political reasons again, IR reasons again why this happened. Because of the breakdown of USSR, Russia lost many countries, much territories, and its focus was on development of economy and not science towards science. Now because of the Putin things are happening. So Chandrayaan 3, why South Pole? This is important for us, that why did we choose the South Pole for landing and what is the significance of this South Pole? So around 2025, as part of its Artemis 3 mission, NASA plans to have humans step foot on the moon for the first time in 50 years. The journey is also said to include the first women and person of color to make the trip. So this is the 2 significant advancements. But even before that, the US Space Agency's volatiles investigating polar exploration rover Viper is expected to explore the southern pole in 2024 during a 100-day long mission. These are the things that you must remember and note down in very short notes, such as what is the name of this Artemis 3 and Viper. So what are they related to? So Artemis 3 will be the human landing. Okay, and Viper 3 is related to the lunar exploration. So in China, with the burgeoning space industry isn't going to be left out of this lunar South Pole action, the country's space agency plans to send the Chang'e E7 mission, there in 2026. All right. So this is why India became the first country to land on the South Pole, because China has landed previously, but it has landed not on the South Pole. So there may be some technical difficulties with the South Pole. We'll see what are they. So interest in the lunar South Pole as a landing site is mainly driven by the fact the scientists know that region hosts water in the form of ice. So ice means low temperature, temperature in minus. All right. Water is of course essential for life as we know it, but also has other uses. For instance, it can act as a coolant for equipment and even provide rocket fuel. This is not a very technical or correct answer. But what we need to know, what we need to figure out about the water is that it is the base for life, or at least human life. All right. Without water, human life cannot exist. So even if we are ever to go to moon or to explore other things, let's say other planets, let's say Mars. So conditions can be different, but we need to find water. Okay, there may be other planets on which water exists and they can harbor us in the future. So that's a different thing. We also read about the end of the sun in one lecture. So what we do when the sun ends? Okay, so this is a part of human curiosity and exploration without a specific mission. So what we do after we find water, we do nothing very specific, but we see we have made an advancement that we have found water. So what that means is space agencies start thinking about sustainability in space. This is the main important portion. As well as the next era of crewed space missions, the ability to harvest water in situ and moon for drinking, cooling machinery, and even breaking down into hydrogen and oxygen to provide breathable air or fuel is of immense value. This breathable air is very important. All right. From H2O we can make O2. While water has been detected across the surface of the moon, the majority of water ice signals come from the poles. So at the lunar South Pole, only elevated peaks are lit by the sun. The peaks on the moon are quite high from the peaks on the Earth because of the gravity difference. It is 1/6 of the gravity of the Earth. I hope you know this also, because of this radius and mass. So this is because of the sun is always positioned around the horizon due to moon's tilt. We'll see this in a diagram later on. More low-lying areas are permanently shrouded in shadow, and they are quite literally referred to as permanently shadowed region, or PSRs. In 2020, NASA sent a rover, Sophia, with the infrared astronomy telescope confirmed the first, it was just a telescope. It confirmed the first ambiguous detection of water at the lunar South Pole. There was one more satellite which NASA sent earlier, I'll see. This was LAR, I think. So anyway, temperature in PSR can drop to as low as minus 418 degree Fahrenheit. This is not Celsius. Please also remember the formula of converting Fahrenheit to Celsius. This is minus 250 degrees Celsius, which is so frigid it's colder than Pluto. Pluto, I hope you know about this, a very small planet or moon. But this means it's also an ideal spot to maintain water ice. Any water molecules that enter a PSR region are immediately frozen. They are also trapped because it's simply too cold for them to evaporate ever. This means the water on the moon is millions of years old. But how this water formed in the initial place? Okay, this is a mystery, and the human nature is to keep solving mysteries. Okay, so the water content then falls to the surface where it gets mixed with the lunar soil. This process results in the growth of large pockets of water and soil at the moon's south pole. So there is soil, and there is water. So there can be life in future. Okay, who knows what bacteria or virus we found there, or some other species. So South Pole, we have been talking a lot about this. Let us see what is this South Pole. All right. So this is Earth. This is Earth's tilt. Tilt means its axis is tilted. This is north region and this is the southern region. This we know is equator. This is Tropic of Cancer, Capricorn. All right. These are the tropical regions. These are the temperate regions. And these are the polar regions. So because of the tilt of the Earth is so much, it is 66.5 degree. All right. The angle is not so much like related to the moon, but it's quite a lot. 66.5 degree tilt is there. So what we see that light also on various different time of the year, light also reaches to the South Pole of the Earth in the Antarctica region. and there is active life there. There are many, many glaciers. There are many animals there. Alright, but what happens when we talk about the moon? That the moon's tilt is even more than the earth. It is 88.5 degrees, almost a 90 degrees. So it's almost completely upright. So what happens that in this region, so another simple curiosity that comes out is that why we are not interested in the North Pole much. If the tilt is so much, or that it's almost identically light shadowed, then why North Pole is not so significant? It is because of two reasons. That one, the craters have not been observed as significantly as South Pole. So the permanently shadowed regions are lesser in the North Pole. It's the matter of topography. As well as light, it is not, see, there is still 2 degrees of difference between the North and the South. Alright, so light is somewhat more here in the North Pole than the South Pole. So that is why South Pole is more important. It's a matter of many fiction stories as well, many movies as well. The Dark of the Moon. Alright, so this is the Dark of the Moon. These are the craters. The craters of the moon are very, very big, as well as the mountains on the moon. They are also quite a big lot in height. Okay, these are the water ice regions. They are the permanently shadowed regions, PSRs. Alright, so this is what we were talking about. This is the topography of the PSR. This is the kind of topography that we want to see. So Chandrayaan 3 has landed here with its rover and the lander. Okay, so this is where we want to go in. This is what we want to observe, that is there water here. So furthermore, important names related to C3. So Chandrayaan 3's lander Vikram. This, remember that the lander's name is Vikram. So this name Vikram is about the Vikram Sarabhai, the father of the Indian space program. Vikram Sarabhai was the pioneer of the Indian National Committee for Space Research, that is in COSPAR, in the year 1962, that later developed into ISRO in the year 1969. This year also you remember. He was also well known for setting up the Physical Research Laboratory PRL in Ahmedabad in the year 1947. His contributions spread across diverse fields. However, he was primarily credited for his speculative work in the field of space. Pragyan is the name of rover. Okay, it's a Sanskrit name meaning wisdom and super intelligence, and Chandrayaan 3 is rover is named after it. So please remember, lander is Vikram and rover is Pragyan. Alright, so where the point it has landed is known as Shiv Shakti point. And the earlier Chandrayaan 2, where it landed, it failed. It's known as Tiranga point. Chandrayaan 2 did not fail to land, it failed to. The rover just tipped off. Alright, it toppled off. So the touchdown point of Chandrayaan 3 will be called Shiv Shakti. The Prime Minister also announced that the site where Chandrayaan 2 left its footprints will be called Tiranga point. This is also important, which vehicle was used to launch the Chandrayaan 3 mission. So launch vehicle Mark 3 is the launch vehicle for Chandrayaan 3. It was previously known as Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle GSLV Mark 3. It was launched from the Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikotam in Andhra Pradesh. These are the important things you must remember about the Chandrayaan 3 mission. LVM-3, a 3-stage configurational vehicle, has 2 straps on motor and 1 liquid core stage. Okay, so both types of fuel are used in this, as well as a high thrust cryogenic upper stage, having 204 tons of solid propellant. Okay, so both solid and liquid fuel are used in it. Recently, we also read about NASA's upcoming mission to Mars, where they will be using a nuclear fuel. Okay, S-200 is one of the world's largest solid boosters. Moreover, C-25 is configured fully indigenous high-thrust cryogenic engine CE-20. So please read about these and remember names. So what is in the future for India? future is Aditya L1 and Gaganyaan missions. So Aditya L1 is India's first dedicated scientific mission to study the sun. Earlier, this mission was conceived as Aditya 1 with a 400 kg class satellite carrying on one payload, the Visible Emission Line Chronograph VELC, and was planned to be launched in 800 km low Earth orbit. However, since the satellite placed in the hello orbit around the first Lagrangian point L1 of the Sun Earth system has a major advantage of continuously viewing the Sun without any occultation or eclipses, the Aditya 1 mission was renamed as Aditya L1 mission, which will be inserted in a hello orbit around the L1, that is 1.5 million kilometers from the Earth towards the Sun. So ISRO scientists said that the instrument of Aditya L1 are tuned to observe the solar atmosphere. So we have already covered this all in a different lecture, the layers of Sun. So you can view that lecture, mainly the chromosphere and corona. In situ instruments will observe a local environment at L1, Lagrange point 1. The spacecraft will carry 7 payload to observe the photosphere, chromosphere and the outermost layer of Sun, the corona. Please again and again remember these layers of the Sun. They are very, very important. Okay. The suits of Aditya L1 payloads are expected to provide most crucial information to understand the problem of coronal heating. Question has come from here. Coronal mass ejection, etc. Pre-flare and flare activities and their characteristics. Again, Gaganyaan mission. Please remember, we are not landing on the moon with Gaganyaan. It's just a space flight mission, okay? Just a space flight mission. Gaganyaan envisaged demonstration of human space flight capability by launching a crew of 3 members to an orbit of 400 km for a 3-day mission and bringing them back safely to Earth by landing in Indian Sea waters. So please remember about Gaganyaan mission. It's a space flight mission, Gaganyaan, okay? Gagan means space. 400 kilometers. 400 kilometers is a lot. The aeroplanes usually fly at 10 kilometer altitude. Okay, so that's a lot, 40 times more than that. So they'll come back and land in the sea. But this is still not a moon mission. So in the comment section, you tell me how far from Earth is moon. Okay, hint is that all the planets can fit between this distance. So there's a lot of distance. Alright, then Yatharth, they are signing off. See you in the next video. Keep studying. Keep growing. Thank you very much.